Yes?
Can prolonged exposure to a very, very stressful situation or environment that you worry about, someone worries about over a period of time, and that builds, and then they experience a panic attack, but yet it's more or less, the genesis of it was specific to stressors in an environment and relationships in that environment. Would that, more than likely, would they have subsequent panic attacks? Just could that then generalize to a lot of other things?
It's a great question, and I can't give you an absolute answer. I guess what I would say is if they, the possibilities are that they, and I guess the question for the camera was that if somebody's in a particular environment, it's a very stressful environment, and they get so overwhelmed that they have a panic attack, is it likely, I think your question is it likely they might develop panic disorder from that? And I certainly think that's one possibility. That is possible. And I would think probably that's a person who already maybe has some risk or some wiring thing that puts them at risk, a genetic blueprint or whatever, that puts them at risk for panic disorder. And so that, but it takes that extreme of a stressor. We talked about this with depression before too, is that anybody and everybody can get depressed. Okay? It's a matter of how much does it take to get you depressed. And that's probably the genetic piece and the environment as a child and all that stuff that determines how easy it is for you, how much it takes to get you depressed. Probably the same thing, Some people are easier to have a lower threshold of stress they can handle before they have a panic attack. So if they're already at risk for panic disorder and they get exposed to the environment like that, yes, it could kick off panic disorder. The other possibility is that they get something like post-traumatic stress. If it's an extremely stressful situation, the common one everybody knows about, of course, are folks, Army soldiers and Marines and such. They're in an extreme stressful situation. They see their buddy, some gory stuff happen to their buddy right next to them. That shakes them, okay? They may not necessarily get panic disorder and be fully, have full-blown panic disorder. They might have post-traumatic stress, so that they relive that experience that they just saw over and over through nightmares or through, we'll talk about this next time. But that's another possibility, is that they could develop, if they're in a stressful environment like that, a post-traumatic stress disorder. We'll talk about all the symptoms of that and everything next time. But does that make sense? Okay. But any, I hope you took home from the message, or the message that you take home today is that any of us can have these things. All of us can have a panic attack if we have the right circumstances occur. But not everybody has them just out of the blue, and that's when it becomes a problem. Other questions? Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. I won't keep you any longer.